This is the book of Romans, chapter 14, beginning at verse 22. It reads, Hast thou faith? Have it to thyself before the Most High. Happy is he that condemneth not himself in that thing which he alloweth. Shalom, shalom, Akim. Before I begin, I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and infinite glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakrash. Double honor to the elders and to the apostles of the great millstone, who taught me this truth and sincerity. Peace, blessing, salutations unto the hopeful elect, Wa'akwat, who are listening in truth and sincerity. The brother Gabar Allah out here in LA. And this lesson is going to be entitled Stop Overly Condemning Yourself. All right, remember that it's a fight. Okay. Now, this is something that I always go into in the sense of, mentioning it in my videos that, it's easy to condemn yourself when we're in these chambers of darkness. You know, it's easy to condemn yourself when you wake up, and you have to go to work on a Sabbath, or, you wake up and you fell short yesterday. You see, you woke up, you might have fell short. You might have not done, you know, enough that you felt like you should have done more for Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Whatever the case may be, you know, um, it is important to acknowledge your faults, you see, and it's important to say, okay, where do I go from here? Because it already happened. See, the fuck up or whatever it is that it was, it already happened. Okay, we need Yahushai, and that's the bottom line. All right, because we're gonna fuck up. That's the nature of this whole thing. We're gonna fuck up. You're gonna have mistakes made. This path is a hard path, and that demon is one of the main demons that get in your head because it starts fucking with you. It starts speaking within with your own voice. You see, it starts putting images. It starts talking to me like, man, you can't be a man of the Lord. Look at you. You falling short. You can't be a man of the Lord. You see, but it is important in that moment to remember the scriptures because they were what? Written for our learning. So now I want to go again to the book of Romans chapter 14 and start at verse 22. Hast thou faith? Have it to thyself before Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Happy is he that condemneth not himself in that thing which he alloweth. Right, man? You know, it's it's a beautiful thing to have a contrite spirit, to know that you need Yahushai. That's a beautiful thing to have. That's a beautiful spirit to be in, that you know you need Yahushua, so you reverence him accordingly. You see? But that in itself, if you're not having faith that Yahushua died for you, that you could very well be of that elect, and this truth ain't for you, man. Because it takes that faith. It takes that amount of faith. All right? It takes that faith that, yeah, the Lord, Salaki, the Lord, he really got on, he suffered all that for his elect. Me being Lord willing of that number, I gotta step it up. I gotta appreciate the Lord's sacrifice and have faith in his sacrifice. You see? Because imagine you, all right, imagine you sacrifice so much for your son, right? Just using you as an example. You telling your son everything's gonna be good, bro. Everything's gonna be good, my son. Everything's gonna everything's gonna be all right. Salaki, you're gonna be good. You're gonna be okay. See? And then next thing you know, his actions are, he's condemning himself. He still feels like shit's gonna go south. He doesn't have that faith in you. You're gonna feel hurt. You're gonna be like, what the hell? You're gonna be like, I did all this for you and you're not having faith in me. That's how Yahushua feels, man. Because he went on that cross. He endured that pain. We didn't endure that pain. We are going to have to suffer, just like he suffered. But we didn't endure that pain, and we haven't endured that pain to that extent that he did. You see? So it's important not to take Yahushua's sacrifice for granted. Okay, because that's what you're doing when you're condemning yourself. Now, this isn't giving you a license to sin. I'm not saying to go do whatever the heck you want to do. No. All right, it's important to have that contrite spirit. Okay, but it's also important to understand that we are in these chambers of darkness. We are in hell right now. We are serving our punishment right now. This is supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be, you know, challenges. It ain't gonna be it ain't just a straight line, of just going uphill. Nah, man, there's zigzags and fucking snares and shit that you gotta dodge and you gotta weave, man. You see? It says, verse 23, and he that doubteth is damned if he eat, because he eateth not of faith. For whatsoever is not of faith is sin, right, man? So if whatever is not of faith is sin, okay? And what are the wages of sin? Death. You see, so you have to have faith. You have to have faith in his sacrifice. You have to have faith that, okay, I may have messed up, but I know that I'm serving the Lord the best of my ability. I know that I'm doing what I can for the Lord. I know that maybe I messed up today, but I'm gonna try my best tomorrow. I'm gonna do better tomorrow. You see, I'm gonna do better right this moment. I may have messed up. The flesh may have won this battle, but I'm gonna win this war, you know? Because there are multiple battles in a war. But at the end of the day, the war outcome is what matters, man. All right, and right now we're fighting the flesh, man. Right now it's the flesh is fucking you up. You know, this flesh needs all this type of shit. Your flesh needs 8 hours of sleep. This flesh needs food. It needs water. It needs to go cleanse itself. It needs to go the whole digest. This flesh is weak as hell, man. Okay, we are subject to these flesh, even though our spirits are out of this world. You see, so of course your spirit is like, you know, your spirit knows what you can handle, what you can't handle, man. You know, your spirit is like wanting to do more. Your spirit always wants to do more. Okay, but this flesh is holding it back, so to speak. This flesh is puts minds in, it puts thoughts in your head, in your own voice, demons and shit, you know, trying to make you doubt yourself. That's Satan, man. That's the deceiver right there, trying to deceive you into doubting yourself, into doubting the sacrifice of Yahushua. You see? No, I'm gonna grab right here, and this ain't gonna be a long lesson at all, man. I'm gonna grab right here the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 and verse 16. It reads, be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself, right? You shouldn't be over righteous. This flesh, it's a lustful, trying to sin all the fucking time, man. That's why they describe it as chambers of darkness. You see? This flesh always wants to go the fuck off. It always wants to choose the bed. You have been lesson today while your flesh is telling you that you're tired, but your spirit knows dang well you gotta get up and make that lesson. That's why sometimes I can't even sleep, man. Sometimes I gotta get up, and there's been days where I couldn't sleep, man. My spirit knew that, hey, bro, get your ass up, make a lesson. Get your ass up, do something for the Lord. You know, but this flesh, man, it's it's so weak, and when you understand how weak this flesh is, you understand that this flesh is gonna be weak. It's the weakest link, this flesh. So when you succumb, when certain things give out in this flesh, you're not going to condemn yourself as much because you're like, okay, well, it's part of this flesh. Of course, you're going to feel bad for it. You're going to confess your faults to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, right? Ask for forgiveness. But within that asking, within that prayer, you better have faith, man. And whatever you pray for Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, you better have faith that the Lord will grant it to you, that He can grant it to you. Maybe not now. Shoot, maybe you struggling to get a job, maybe you struggling financially, maybe you struggling with whatever the case may be. You pray to the Lord and you have faith on Him that He can keep you afloat until then, until He gets you that job. Okay, because those time periods are just the Lord testing your faith, man. And if you have the same amount of faith throughout that whole course, and your faith maybe even boosts, hey, call Allah Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You see? But I want to grab this again, Ecclesiastes 7:16. Be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. And here's the point that I want you brothers to really grasp. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? Why do you think it's saying that? Why do you think it's asking that in the question? Why would you destroy yourself like that? Trying to be over righteous, trying to be perfect in this imperfect world. Why? It's like impossible. You see? But hey, that goes to show you how incredible Yahweh Shai's whole sacrifice was, man. That he was able to overcome all of this. You see? And that should give you even more faith that he's gonna deal with you. And throughout that whole thing that he was thinking of you. And he was suffering on that cross. He was thinking of you, man. Like, I gotta keep pushing. This ain't just of me, this is for such and such. This is for this brother, this is for that brother. I gotta keep enduring. Well, your whole mindset should be, I may have fucked up now, but I gotta keep pushing for you. How about Shimmy? I was shy. You see, you may have goofed up, you may have whatever the case is, man. You know, you gotta keep that faith, man. That you could still very well be of that elect. Okay. Now I'm gonna go right here in the book of Second Esdras, chapter 16 and verse 70. I'll start at verse 75 just to get to the point. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for power is your guide, and the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai power. Says, let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves. Right? Don't let whatever the heck you was doing, don't let them uplift themselves, man. This flesh is weak. It succumbs to lust sometimes. This flesh is weak, so it's gonna sleep in sometimes. You know, sometimes you may have goofed up. You better, do what you gotta do and keep that faith, man. Okay? And pray to the Lord that He strengthens you in whatever it is that you're struggling with, man. You see? Whatever it is, you may have, you know, you may have been lazy for a day or two. For whatever reason, you're just lazy. You can't even get up. Everything's is all tired. His body's fucked up and shit because of all the torture. You gotta get to work. It's all torture and shit. You get home, you don't want to do nothing. Those are the times when you gotta pray to the Lord, man. You see, and you have to have faith that hey, the Lord is gonna get me out of this slump. All right, and you better take action. You better show the Lord through your own actions that you believe, that you have faith. Because that alone, sometimes a prayer is all you need, bro. Is all you need to get in that mindset. Oh shoot, I gotta get my ass up. The amount of times Salaki, the amount of times I've been, you know, I'm sure brothers can attest to this. You don't want to do something, you send a prayer up, and all of a sudden you up. You want to do it. you know, you fervent. Now all of a sudden you doing, more than what you expected or wanted to do. Call all Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. You see? But if you're letting these sins weigh you down, if you're letting what you did yesterday, what you did the year before that, the years prior to this, if you let all that accumulate, Yahushua is gonna be like, look, you don't faith, you don't have trust in me, so I'm gonna let them shits weigh you down. Because you don't believe that my blood is covering you. You don't have faith that I sacrificed myself for you. So why should I cover you in my blood? Nah, hell nah. I'm gonna give mine to someone who would appreciate it. Okay, because you're showing a lack of appreciation as well as a lack of faith when you don't show Yahweh Bashim Yahshua that you appreciate, reverence him and his sacrifice, what he did for you. You see, for the whole nation of Israel. Okay, now I'm gonna end it off here in the book of where is it at? Book of Proverbs, chapter 24, in verse 16. Salakia. It reads, for a just man falleth 7 times, and riseth up again. And that number 7 just goes into a complete number. So a just man is going to fall a complete number of times. That every time he falls, he's going to get up. But the wicked shall fall into mischief. Right? The wicked, they're not going to have faith. They're not going to have faith in the Lord and his sacrifice. So they're going to fall into mischief, man. You want to be that just man that falling and getting up. You want to be that just man that fell down so many times. You got hit, you got beat, you got kicked while you was down. Yeah, you still got up, you dusted yourself off, and you praise the Lord. You have faith in his name. That's what Yahweh Bashim Yahushua wants to see. He wants to see, okay, he's getting a bit of an ass kicking right now. I gotta chastise him. But how is he gonna act? Is he gonna call upon me? Is he still gonna have faith? Does he truly believe that this is what it takes? You see? So that's pretty much all I had, man. Lord willing, it was edifying. Lord willing, it was uplifting, exhorting. With that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Lachakwadash. Double honor yet again to the elders and to the apostles of the great millstone who wrote and teach all. Peace, blessings, salutations unto the hopeful elect, who are listening, truth and